Welcome to Online Tutorial 2. This is going to be a pretty short one because in reality all you need to be doing is exactly what we said last week, which is preparing for the pre-test. So go to Learning Resources, you'll find the Environmental Interaction Framework. Make sure you're comfortable with the 20 concepts which are listed there. They're all addressed in the video and they're all addressed in the book chapter. Okay. As I explained before, the aim of getting you primed with the Environmental Interaction Framework is simply to ensure that when you come along to the first workshop that you are ready to go. You're not waiting to hear what the unit's about. You're not waiting to hear what the theory bases are that we're going to discuss and consider in the unit. You're already up to speed with them, which means within a very short period of time in that first workshop, we're off and running. You're out the door, you're doing things with other people, you're coming back in, you're trying to make sense of those things. So we've got this week, we've got a couple of optional workshops. They're optional in the sense that you don't need to come along if you're feeling okay with how everything is. If you're after a little bit more information, a little bit more of a sense of how things are going to run, you want to ask some questions, come along. So we've got one on Tuesday morning, that's this morning, another one tomorrow afternoon, and another one tomorrow evening. Alright, so check out the announcements section of Blackboard. That'll help you to get a bit of a sense. Now, already I can see, when I look at what's happening in the unit, I can see that we've got 290 students, and I can see that I've had 110 students who have watched the video from last week, the online tutorial. So it tells me that roughly only a third of students have actually thought, okay, what's this about? I need to know something. Now, that could be because some of them are already thinking, I've read through what's online, I already get a sense for what's happening, I'm cool. But history tells me that that's most probably not the case, that there's roughly 50% of the students who just aren't in sync with what's actually happening. Alright? The fact that you're listening to this means that I'm preaching to the converted. Alright? So you don't need to stress, right? If you're already up to speed on what I'm asking you to do across these first 4 weeks, then you'll be fine. When we get to week 4, just couple of weeks away, and we get to that Thursday where the pre-test opens, you'll be fine, right? You won't have any problems, right? Other people most probably going to come at it late, start a few days before that, and they'll try and catch up, and they'll get there 11 or 12 out of 20 when 20 out of 20 was sitting there waiting for them. All right, so if you know other people in the unit, ask them, have you watched the first online tutorial? And if they haven't, just say, wouldn't hurt just to sort of make sure you're up to speed with what's going along. There's a lot of confusion that can occur in the unit, and a lot of the confusion happens because people assume and want to make a comparison between this unit and what they've previously done, and there isn't really a strong comparison to be made. That's why I'm asking you to keep an open mind. Alright, that's why I want you to develop this really strong understanding about this Environmental Interaction Framework before we meet, so that we can go off and do things in a different way once we're actually into the workshop process. And so that when you form a group, you're not going to be a burden on the group because everyone else around you knows what's going on and you don't. Alright? So, open mind, but be mindful of what's sitting in front of you. Okay, that's all I really need to be saying to you this week. It's not a complicated online tutorial, this one. It really is just a reinforcement of what we said last week, and to remind you that if you're unsure about any aspect of the unit, obviously you can contact me directly, but failing that, you can come along to the workshops and have a chat, and they really are designed for you to come along and have a chat. I'll present some basic information, but it really is what's already on Blackboard. And it's really just to open up so people can actually have a conversation about those things that they're a little bit unsure about, right? And that's normal, right? If you haven't done a unit this way before, it's pretty normal that you might be thinking to yourself, I still don't actually get how this is supposed to operate, all right? There isn't anything complicated about the unit once you get to the other end, but it can seem complicated at this point because you may not have experienced this process before, all right? So, we don't need you to be complicated. Stay close to the unit. Keep an eye on the announcements. Keep watching the little online tutorials. This one really, hopefully, is just to sort of say calm no major dramas. Just keep doing what you were asked to do last week. Come along and have a chat if that suits you. Otherwise, keep moving forward. Have something more bits and pieces to talk to you about next week in terms of preparing for that open mind, preparing to come along, and the types of things we'll be doing in the first workshop, and making sure that you're comfortable with the nature of what we're doing. I've had quite a few students reach out to me already who have had, preset commitments for that Saturday, and so I've already got a list of 10 or so students who are coming along on that following Monday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you're in that situation, just reach out, let me know what your issue is, explain the nature of that context to me, and then we can work our way through getting you into that additional class on the Monday, if that's going to help you catch up. Some people will use all three of those catch-up classes because they are stuck working on that Saturday, or they are, the super duper keen central player for their sporting team, and they can't get out of that. That's okay. It's not the end of the world, okay? It's still important, if you're in that situation, to make sure that you do go back through and have a look at the video of what happened on the previous Saturday, because we obviously, if we've got a Saturday workshop, especially the first one that goes along for that much time, and we're only going to have 2 hours here, we're not going to be able to fit everything in. It's a catch-up workshop, okay? So don't assume that it's going to be perfect. Having said that, if you manage this process well, it's not going to detract from your ability to do well in the unit. But you do have to manage yourself through the process, and I'm here to help you, okay? You only need to reach out, have a chat. More than happy to help you. Okay, hopefully I'll see some of you today and tomorrow at the optional workshops if you want to come along and have a chat. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to chatting to you again next week. Any problems, just come back and drop me an email and we can go from there. Cheerio.